Welcome back. Back to the border. President Trump visiting the southern border yesterday alongside Texas Governor Greg Abbott. Trump put the blame squarely on President Biden and his policies for making the crisis at the border worse.
All Biden had to do is go to the beach. If he would have just done nothing, we would have now the strongest border we've ever had. This wall would have been completed. Within 2 months, everything could have been completed. It would have been painted, not sitting there rotting and rusting. It would have been perfecto.
Joining me right now to talk more about that is Texas Congressman, member of the House Energy and Commerce Committee, Michael Burgess. Congressman, it's good to see you this morning. Thanks very much for being here. Of course, President Biden did not go to the beach and not do anything. He actually overturned President Trump's policy at the border by reinstating catch and release, by overturning Remain in Mexico, and stop all construction of the wall. That has resulted in a major crisis, 180,000 people in May alone getting apprehended and tens of thousands more getting away. Your reaction to what we're seeing?
And what we're going to see in June is an even worse number, or an even larger number. Look, the former President Trump is correct. All Biden had to do was keep those policies in place for a while he decided what new direction in which he would go. But instead, completely lifting all of the Trump era programs and essentially telling the coyotes down in Central America, hey, you can make a lot of money by bringing people up here now if you can just get here in time. And that's obviously what they've done. They've performed their part of the bargain that President Biden set with them. But Biden does need to go to the border. Kamala Harris's trip last week was welcome, but it was incomplete. I think Secretary Becerra had to actually go and complete the trip by visiting Fort Bliss, which the vice president did not make it to. I was there just a few weeks ago. It's important that the people who are making the decisions understand what they are working with. And if you do not go, you do not understand it. So I'm grateful that President Trump went yesterday. The current administration needs to spend a little more effort making sure they understand the problem as well.
You know, we've outlined the issues time and time again on this program, whether it be the tens of thousands of people that have gotten away. They're in the interior of our country. Specifically, they did not want to get apprehended. Why? What are their intentions? As well as the illicit drugs. But what is the cost of all of this, Congressman? You know, you say that Texas should be reimbursed for the impact of all of this. It's 5,000, 6,000 people being delivered to Texas every day to that Texas border from Mexico. It's astounding to me that we can sit here in America and allow criminal cartels to decide who gets into America. Criminal cartels are deciding, depending on how much they're being paid, who steps foot at the border in Texas. What do you want to see in terms of the impact on Texas, and what's the cost of all of this? Because I looked at the president's budget, and there's absolutely no increase in spending for Homeland Security. I'm not sure what the cost of all of this is and where this falls on the budget.
Right. Well, of course, President's budget did not acknowledge that there was a problem, so it allowed no money toward it. But realistically, you have the immediate direct costs, the costs that are being borne by the state of Texas, the Department of Public Safety, having to have the patrols on the border on the Rio Grande itself, at the Anzadulas Bridge, even Texas Parks and Wildlife, which has to participate in when people are encountered in that brushy area just north of the border that have to be brought to some sort of center for processing. None of that right now is being reimbursed. So the direct cost, and that's probably pretty straightforward to ascertain. I don't have a number for you this morning. The indirect cost or the intangible costs are the ones that are really going to cripple the state. And look, all of those people that are coming in that now will be under federal law will be required to be taken into school districts, not just in Texas, but all over the country. And when we tried previously in the Biden administration to get an estimate of how that is going to impact our local school districts, for what do they need to be preparing? And no one will look at that. No one will provide any data on those questions. Look, I was just grateful when we could make sure that usual childhood immunizations were provided as people were coming in. but we do need better data on the numbers and where people are going. Now, I'm just talking about the children, not the older age groups that are just being simply released at the border.
Yeah, for sure. You're talking about increasing numbers of children being holed up. You've got facilities that they've expanded. I want to get your take real quick on the infrastructure package and also on COVID. The Journal this morning is reporting that the next step in the World Health Organization's probe into the origins of coronavirus is testing and examining farms that supplied animals to wet markets. The animals are gone, they're resold or released, and we know all of the circumstantial evidence points to a lab leak. The Chinese Communist Party today celebrating their 100 years in existence. Will there be any accountability for the CCP allowing this deadly disease to escape its borders and covering it up?
My opinion is there just simply has to be, and whether that's done on the trade front, whether that's done on some type of remuneration that has to occur. Look, I appreciate the information the Wall Street Journal has shared with the world this morning, but I really think it's much bigger than that. And with this illness, different from SARS-1 20 years ago, remember there was a jump from a bat to a civet cat to then to people. This one, there was no intermediary, which really does point to the fact lab manufacture, lab release, accidental, on purpose, that will have to be determined. But right now it does appear that it's a direct problem that came straight from the lab to the population. And here's the tragic part. The Chinese government knew this was happening, and they didn't stop it. They stopped it internally, but they didn't stop it to the rest of the world. And oh, what devastation that they have, not just the fiscal devastation, but the human toll that this has taken. They do need to be held accountable for that. The world cannot sit back.
Yeah, we're waiting for... Yeah, we're waiting for all of that, the accountability. Obviously, President Biden has yet to bring up the origins of COVID with Xi Jinping as Xi Jinping celebrates overnight 100 years for the CCP. Real quick, Congressman, are you expecting a second package of tax increases that the Biden administration will push through reconciliation next month?
I think they're going to try. I don't see any way that they don't. But people need to pay attention to what's happening.
Congressman, it's good to see you this morning, sir. Thank you. Michael Burgess joining us in D.C. Stay with us. We'll be right back.